So this video is going to be about the investor mindset. It's all about the returns. So the average Joe, let's say, is a truck driver that makes $45,000 a year salary, $37,800 after taxes. Using the 70-20-10 rule, he spends about $1,575 a month on rent, $400 a month on food, $220 a month on other, $630 for savings, and $350 for donations to his church. So this average Joe's retirement plan, he's going to save about $7,500 a year. By the time he's 65, if he starts when he's 20, he's going to have $340,000. If he lives for another 15 years till he's 80, he's going to have $22,600 a year to spend. So he'll live a basic life during his career, and then once he retires, he's going to have a 40% pay cut. Not great. The investor mindset, however, for his retirement plan, an investor sees a huge potential in Joe's situation. First, we're going to cut out the unnecessary expenses. Since he can live in a truck and he spends most of his days on the road, working for his job, he doesn't need an apartment, which will allow him to save $26,000 a year. $26,000 invested annually with an average 10% return yearly turns into $481,000 by the time he's 30, which replaces his current salary if he only invests for 10 years. Now, if he keeps investing for another 6 years, he's going to have $1 million in investments and $100,000 a year to live off of, which more than doubles his current income. If he works for an additional 6 years after that, he'll double that. So, average Joe buying a home, he was smart. He invested his money and he saved till he was 36 years old, has $1 million in investments, and is earning $100,000 a year to live off of. Since Joe is retired, he plans to finally get himself a house to start a family in. He has $1 million in investments, so he thinks he can afford nearly every house in town, which he can. He sets his eye on a $500,000 home and pays for it in cash. Joe now has a $500,000 house, $50,000 in income each year from that. The rest of the $500,000 left in investments. From an investor's point of view, however, this isn't a horrible decision, but it isn't the best one either. The investor mindset on the same situation of buying a home. Joe can still buy that $500,000 house if he wants to because he earned it, but an investor would be smart with his money. Having his money invested in stocks brings him a 10% return yearly. If he takes that money out to pay for a house that will only earn him 7% from appreciation, he's missing out on 3% of potential earnings. In Joe's case, that's equivalent to missing out on $40,000 a year. If Joe instead financed the house and only put 20% down, he'd earn $90,000 a year from investments, and he would now have a $500,000 home from a $100,000 down payment. So continuing on, part 2 of this home buying process, just to summarize it up. Joe makes $90,000 a year from his investments, worth $900,000. The mortgage rate is 3%. House appreciates at 7%, meaning Joe earns 4% on a $500,000 home, which is $20,000 a year. Joe really makes $110,000 a year if you add the two together. So the difference between the two situations, Joe went from living paycheck to paycheck and taking a 40% pay cut when he retired at 65 to living in a $500,000 home making $110,000 a year from 36 years old and on. Joe cut his expenses, invested all he had, and allocated his money wisely. The investor mindset is about putting your money in places that will bring the highest returns. It's all about the returns. So, in closing, comment down below where you can get the best returns to help educate others on opportunities out there, and like the video to help with the YouTube algorithms, and subscribe if you want more.